Stephen Hurahan here at BrandMasterAcademy.com, and in this video you're going to learn what the deliverables of brand strategy actually are and the critical decision that you need to make when it comes to your client's customer journey. Now, when it comes to brand design, the deliverables are pretty straightforward because you can see them. But when it comes to brand strategy, it's a lot less tangible, so it's a lot more difficult to understand what exactly the deliverables are. But why don't we start with the definition of what brand strategy is? Now, branding is the expression of a brand, and brand strategy, therefore, is the plan of that brand expression. So when we think about that, the deliverables then of the brand strategy is the plan of that brand expression. But before we dive any deeper, I just want to step back for a second and consider this. The brand strategy is actually separated into two sections, and that is the planning aspect of the strategy and the execution aspect of the strategy. Now, when we think about the art of promoting a business, there are many facets involved, and the art of promoting a business itself is what branding is, but it does include all facets, including marketing. And when you take marketing on its own, then that includes execution tactics like SEO, content marketing, ad placement, etc., etc., etc. The list goes on and on and on. So the distinction that you need to make and the decision that you need to make is to step back and look at branding and brand strategy and ask yourself the question, am I going to be a planner, or am I going to be an executor, or am I going to be both? So if you understand the journey that your audience is on, the journey that your customers are on, then you know that they are promoting their business. They're going to want a brand and a strategy to go with that. And then they're going to have a strategic brand ready to introduce to the market. So they're going to need marketing as well. Now, if you take on all of these executions, if you take on all of these tactics and techniques that they will need executed for them, well, then you're going to dilute yourself. You're going to be a jack of all trades, and you might be good at one or two of those things, but you're not going to be great at everything you do. So you do need to make a distinction between the planning of the brand strategy and the execution of the brand strategy, and make a decision as to how far down the road you're going to go with your client, how far you're going to hold their hand and lead them down the road of that business promotion, and where you're going to stop and where you're going to hand them over to someone else. So for the sake of this video, I'm going to include marketing in the deliverables, and therefore I'm going to break the deliverables of brand strategy up into three sections, which is brand strategy, brand identity, and marketing execution. So first up is the brand strategy deliverables. Now, when you remember the definition of brand strategy, it is the plan of that execution. So essentially the deliverables of the brand strategy itself are the elements that express the brand, and it acts as a guide for the leadership team to go out and express that brand in the marketplace. So let's have a look at those brand strategy element deliverables, and first up is the internal brand. Now, the internal brand is essentially the soul of the brand, and it provides the reason as to why the brand is in business beyond that monetary value. And when you hear of brands starting with why, which comes from Simon Sinek's book, this is what they're doing. They're starting with why. They're starting with that internal brand, that purpose, and it includes the purpose, the vision, the mission, and the values. So how the brand behaves within the market, where they're going in the future, what commitments they have, and what belief system they have as well. Deliverable number 2 is the audience persona. Now, the brand strategist spends a huge amount of time on this section because everything else from within the brand strategy stems from this understanding of this audience. Now, the audience persona is a fictional character, and it's developed based on demographics and psychographics, so the situations and the behaviors of that target audience, but it goes a lot deeper than that. It gets into the challenges, the pain points, and the emotional investment, so that you can really understand the behaviors of the audience and what's going to click with them, what's going to resonate with them. So that audience persona is really key, and it sets the foundation for the rest of the brand strategy development. Deliverable number 3 is a solid competitive analysis. So you need to understand who your competitors are, and this is essentially looking at your competitors from your audience's perspective. So they're thinking to themselves, what options do I have in the marketplace already? And the reason this is so important is because if you go into the marketplace offering the exact same as what your competitors are offering, then all you're going to do is contribute to market noise. You're not going to get any attention from your audience because they already had that option in the marketplace. They don't want more of the same thing. So understand who your audience is, not based on, what can we copy? What can we, do that's the same as them? Understand them from the point of view of what their strengths and weaknesses are so you can identify gaps and opportunities. Deliverable number 4 is a unique positioning strategy. Now, you have your market landscape at this stage, which is your audience and the competitors in the marketplace. You've seen the gaps and the opportunities. Now you need to apply some creative thinking to really develop out a unique positioning strategy. And everything else from this point is developed from here, including your messaging and your story. So really nailing this down, the position that you're going to take in the market for that brand and the value that this difference is going to offer in the marketplace is a really important step. Deliverable number 5, a human brand persona. Now, brands today, certainly modern brands today, are becoming a lot more human, and that's on the back of a high demand from consumers. They want the brands that they deal with to feel more human to them, to feel more relatable to them, and a human brand persona allows a brand to do that. Now, the brand persona, the human brand persona, is broken up into 2 sections. First is your personality, second is your brand voice. That personality will allow your brand to display characteristics that your audience is going to be attracted to, and the brand voice then allows you to double down on those characteristics. So you've identified what characteristics you want to display through your personality over here, and then you double down on those characteristics by bringing those through in your brand voice, and together your personality and your brand voice makes up your human brand persona and makes your brand a lot more human and a lot more relatable to your audience. Deliverable number 6 is your messaging framework. Now, I'm not talking about a core message here. This is not a tool that you can use over and over. I'm talking about a messaging framework, and that's made up into a series of key messages. Now, if you do this well enough, if you execute this well enough and you deliver a really solid messaging framework, then your message is going to resonate with your audience through both the emotional limbic system and the reptilian brain and the analytical, logical neocortex. So you're going to connect with them on an emotional level, and you're also going to connect with them on an analytical level so they can feel your brand and they can also really understand that you offer value as well. Deliverable number 7 is the storytelling framework. Now, the work that you've done in the audience persona has paved the way for a lot of the brand elements that you've developed since then, but the journey that your audience is on and the journey that you uncovered in the audience persona development translate directly into the storytelling framework, because that is the story that you want to tell. You want to tell the story of this person who is somebody within your audience and the journey that they're on, the challenges they go through, the pain points that they're dealing with, and what that emotional investment is. And then you're going to paint a picture of what life looks like on the other side of that when their problem has been resolved. That is the journey. That is the story that your audience wants to hear, and that is the story that your brand needs to tell. So that is a really important deliverable. Number 8 is your brand strategy guidelines. Now, every element that you've created up until this point influences the expression of the brand. And remember, what we defined the brand strategy as is the plan for that brand expression. So bringing all of those elements together within the brand strategy guidelines provides a tool for the brand leadership team to go out and express that brand strategically. So now you've put the foundations of the brand strategy in place, it's time to move on to the next section, which is the deliverables of the brand identity. So this is where the brand comes to life visually, and what we deliver here to the client are those visuals. So let's go through one by one what those deliverables are. Now, continuing on from the numbering from the earlier section, number 9 is the logo. Now, the amount of information that you have at this stage is hugely advantageous when it comes to designing logos and designing brand identities. A lot of designers will jump straight into this without having much strategic knowledge. They might have a basic discovery session at their disposal, but they're not going to have all of this detail. They're not going to have all of these insights and all of this strategic work as a foundation. So that really leads into the design, and your logo deliverables here includes the variations. So the variations in position, the variations in the color, and you deliver those through your artwork files and your exported executionable files. Deliverable number 10 is typography. Now, part of this will be completed within the logo design, but there's more typography that we provide as well, supporting typography also. So typography is very expressive. You know that as a designer, there's a lot of characteristics that come with typography. And if we have the information at hand from the strategic section, which we should do at this point, then we're going to understand the characteristics that we want to display strategically through our brand. So typography really helps us to do that. Deliverable number 11 is the color palette. Now, color palette is also very expressive as well. Now, we can take characteristics that we've defined in our brand strategy and express them through color, but we can do more than that as well. We might define within our positioning strategy that we want to own a certain feeling. An example of this will be Coke, who owns happiness. So if we define that we want to own a specific feeling, then color is a very good way to express a certain feeling. So it's really important and a really strategic tool when we have all of those strategic elements at play. Deliverable number 12 is your image style. Now, image style is really, really important within a brand identity system, and the image style itself can be one of the most recognizable elements of the entire brand identity. And the reason for this is that we can remember images in as little as 13 milliseconds. So that's 0.0013 of a second. If we see an image for that amount of time, chances are we're gonna be able to remember that image. So our brain is very visual, and we can use that, we can leverage that. So with a unique image style, we're able to plant a seed in the mind of our audience, and they're gonna be able to recall our images. So image style is really important. You might go so far as to engaging a photographer to capture a really unique image style, and if you couple your brand strategy in this, and you define those characteristics that you want displayed within your image style, well, then a photographer can really help you to do that. So the deliverables here would be obviously the image, but any rights involved in those images as well. Deliverable number 13 is iconography. Now, any visual element has the opportunity to really solidify a look and a feel, and that's what your brand identity system is. It's solidifying a look and feel, and that ties in directly with those characteristics and how you want to appeal to your audience. But iconography is another way to do that, and you can apply this across digital and physical products as well. So having a unique illustration is a very good way to solidify that look and feel. Deliverable number 14 is your style guide. So we're all familiar with style guides. Certainly those within branding, those within brand design are familiar with style guides. And essentially this provides you with a rule book of how the brand is going to be expressed visually within the marketplace. And that is a tool for consistency, a tool for the brand management and leadership team to make sure that the brand is being visually displayed consistently across the board. Number 15 is your digital collateral. So your style guide will set the terms here and set the rules in place, and you can take that now and go on and develop your tools of expression through your collateral, both physical and digital. But when it comes to digital, you're talking here about your website, you're talking about your apps, your social media assets, and banners as well. And finally, on section 2 of your brand identity deliverables, you have your physical collateral. So this is your business cards, your brochures, your flyers, your environmental design, any promotional material. So anything physical that you're going to use as a brand expression tool will fall under your physical collateral. So moving on to section 3 of your deliverables, you have your marketing plan and execution deliverables. Now, just to reflect on what we've done so far in terms of the deliverables for brand strategy, we've delivered a plan for expression and tools of that expression. So when you think about a brand strategy and you think that it is a plan for brand expression, to this point, we have created that plan. We have created that plan for expression, and we've also created the tools for expression now. Now we're passing over into the marketing section. And for a lot of people, you're wading into an area here that is a bit unfamiliar. You have SEO in this space, you have Facebook ads, you have content marketing, you have a lot of different facets of brand strategy and marketing execution, but it's important to have a firm grasp of all of the different elements when it comes to marketing. So although you may not deliver all of these elements, although that may not be part of your delivery plan for your clients, it's important to have a firm grasp of what your clients' options are, because remember what we spoke about before, your clients are on a journey. They're going to come across this road at some point, even if you've produced a strategic brand for them, even if you've produced those tools of expression, they need to now go out into the marketplace and express that brand. So they do need to market themselves. Whether they do that themselves, they take your plan, they take your guidelines and go out and express themselves through those marketing channels, that is a decision that you need to make as to how far down the road you're going to hold their hand. Are you going to bring them into this realm of marketing, or are you just going to point in a certain direction and show them the way forward? Do you have a partnership in place? Do you have a referral in place that you can point them to? So you really need to think about this crossroads here, because this really is the crossroads as far as brand strategy is concerned. If you are delivering brand strategy, if you are delivering that plan of action, if you are delivering those tools, but you're not delivering marketing execution tactics, then this is the crossroads. So continuing on from our previous numbers, deliverable number 17 is channel analysis. So what you're going to do here is you're going to look out into both physical and digital congregations of where the audience is, where they're hanging out, and decide which of those channels is the most appropriate for the brand message. So that channel analysis gives a really good indication as to where those congregations are, where that audience is hanging out, where they're going to for the type of information that you can help them with, and then prioritizing those channels in order of importance and relevance. Deliverable number 18 is your marketing plan. So you've done your channel analysis now, you know where the congregations are, and you know the ones that are prioritized and where your audience is going to be most open to your messaging. Now you need to take the brand strategy and the messaging framework and decide which messages are the most appropriate for your marketing plan. Develop those messages, including the visuals, and create a plan to put those messages out into the marketplace. Number 19 is artwork. Now, of course, we've developed some brand expression tools within the brand strategy, but when it comes to your marketing strategy, there will be a lot more specific communication here. And most forms of communication, most forms of marketing have some sort of visual representation. So the artwork that you'll be supplying in this case will be the visuals to support those individual messages, such as your ads or your social media posts. Number 20 is content. Now, any form of marketing has a form of content within there, whether that's a blog post or a piece of ad copy. So your brand strategy and your brand messaging framework and your personality, your human persona, everything from your personality to your tone of voice, all of that plays into your content here. So whether you're delivering a blog post or whether you're delivering some ad copy, it all flows in to the content that you produce in this section. Number 21 is SEO. So SEO is a long-term marketing strategy, and if you've come up with this strategy as part of the marketing strategy in the earlier section, well then delivering on that SEO is going to be part of what you need to deliver to your clients. So whether you do this yourself and go in and do the technical SEO and execute that, or whether you engage an SEO expert is entirely up to you. But again, this is just another example of how deep the individual execution techniques go. So SEO is a field in and of itself, and if you don't have the skills at hand, if you don't have those capabilities to go in and do that technical SEO, well then you definitely need to be looking externally to experts that can do that on your behalf so you can deliver that to the client. Deliverable number 22 is ad placement. So if within your strategy you've defined that your paid ads are part of that strategy, well then Facebook ads and Google AdWords are an example of this. So you will need an expert to go in there and place those ads, to be able to execute those ads, and not only that, to be able to manage them, to be able to optimize them and make adjustments as well. So if that's part of your marketing plan, then it's going to be part of the deliverable to your client. And finally, deliverable number 23 is analytics and reporting. So again, if you're going to go down the road of marketing and executing those marketing services, then you're going to need to show your audience what's working and what's not. So your analytics is really important here, reporting on that ROI, on those metrics to show what's working and what's not to justify that spend is a really, really important deliverable within the marketing section of that brand strategy. Now look, this really is an exhaustive list of deliverables when it comes to brand strategy, but it's important to realize the journey that your customer is on, and also realize what part of that journey are you going to represent. Are you going to hold their hand all the way through from brand strategy to brand expression to marketing strategy and marketing execution, or are you going to stop at some point? There is a crossroads where branding meets marketing, and you need to understand where that crossroads is and how far down the road you're going to go with them. Are you going to be part of their marketing strategy, and are you going to be part of their marketing execution? If you're not going to be part of the marketing execution, what direction are you going to point them in? Are you going to have a partnership in place? Are you going to have a referral in place that you can direct them to? Because if you just abandon them, if you create that brand strategy and that expressive tool and then send them on their merry way, well then they're going to be a little bit lost. So it's really important to understand the full customer journey that your audience is on, define which part of that customer journey you are going to represent, and at what point do you let go of their hand and hand them over to somebody else. But I'd love to hear from you. Did you like this video? If you did, please give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button and the notification bell as well. If you want exclusive techniques and tips when it comes to brand strategy, then head on over to BrandMasterAcademy.com and sign up for the newsletter. It is free, and I'll drop those techniques right into your inbox. But I want to hand it over to you now. Is there anything that you learned new from this video? Do you have a new perspective on the deliverables of brand strategy? What are you going to do as far as your deliverables? How far down the road are you going to hold your client's hand? Are you going to be involved in the planning, the execution, the marketing tactics, the marketing strategies? At what point are you going to let their hand go? And do you have a plan in place to hand them over to somebody else? I'd love to hear your comments below. If you've got any questions in relation to the deliverables of brand strategy, please let me know in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer all of those. Until next time, brand like a master, and I will see you in the next video.